As people go ahead and start joining in, I'll just go ahead and get started. Give me a quick thumbs up. Everyone can hear me fine. Is that yes? Perfect. So I'll introduce myself in an upcoming slide real quick. But first, um, introduce Jaime, our regional commissioner. He's at the top left corner of my screen. I don't know if he's on your screen. So hello, Jaime.
Hey everybody, real quick, thank you very much, and I'm sure Josh is going to say this too. Thank you very much for being here tonight, and thank you again for volunteering. It means a lot to the kids and to the region, and we absolutely appreciate everything you do. So thanks again, everybody.
Perfect. Thank you, Jaime. And you'll get to meet some more people throughout the presentation. But what I'm going to go ahead and do is get started. We got a lot of information to go over. And for the sake of time, I'm going to try and move as quick as I can. So everyone seeing my screen okay? Awesome. Thank you. So let's get started. All right. Welcome to fall core season coach orientation. So just like Jaime said, thank you very much for being here. Anyone who's coached kids before knows that it's quite a commitment. We all have busy schedules. We all have lives. Thank you all for stepping up and doing what you do to make our kids' lives better. Anyone who hasn't met me or heard from me, I'm sure you've all been getting my emails. My name is Joshua Schwarz. I'm the coach administrator for our region, also the coach instructor. I've had the privilege of instructing several of you recently for some coach training. Um, so here's my contact info, my email. I've been involved with the region since about 2016, and I got suckered into the board real quick in 2018. Um, I'm a coach, a referee, a board member, and just an all-around awesome guy. I'm very modest too. So all of you coaches, this should be familiar. Anything you do that's related to AYSO as far as training or anything, you're going to hear these terms, the AYSO vision to provide world-class youth soccer programs that enrich children's lives. And the way AYSO accomplishes that vision is through their mission, which is to develop and deliver quality youth soccer programs, which promote a fun family environment based on AYSO's 6 core philosophies. Those core philosophies, real quick, everyone plays. AYSO requires every player to play at least 50% of the time that they're there. Our region bumped that up to 75%. More playing time is obviously better for the kids. Balanced teams, that's why we do player evaluations and those kind of events. So we create balanced teams to the best of our ability. We don't want one team getting all the all-stars and another team getting the not so skilled players, which just results in blowouts a lot of the time, and it's not fun for at least one of those teams. Open registration means no matter where you live, you can register in any AYSO region. Positive coaching is pretty self-explanatory. We want you to coach using positive messaging and tones, while also teaching the kids what you're trying to teach them. Good sportsmanship is huge. It's an entire region-wide thing that we push on everyone. It includes the players, referees, and parents. We'll get more into that later. Good sportsmanship at all times. And then, of course, player development. We all like to win. The kids like to win. Definitely, as us as coaches want to win. But certainly, the larger picture is to provide soccer development growth. We want to teach the kids to get better and have them fall in love with the game of soccer. So anytime you're in an AYSO function, you're in what's called the kids zone. So all of this really is self-explanatory. If I have to come up to you and address you because of one of these things, then I don't know, you're probably in the wrong business. So on that note, your coach's pledge, many of you have received this from me. I will send it out to all you coaches in a digital format. Just remember, as a coach, you're held to a very high standard through AYSO. I'm not going to go through these one by one, Basically, as you go through your season, if you're following this coach pledge at all times and the 6 core philosophies, you really can't go wrong. Players as well. Players have a pledge too. Their coaches are not the only ones held to a standard. Players are expected to follow their pledge too. Be that good sport. Don't talk back. Don't throw temper tantrums. That kind of stuff. Players are not the only ones. Parents are also responsible for behaving appropriately. They're obviously responsible for being on time, taking care of their child, all that stuff. They need to also be the role model when they're not on the field with you as a coach, and apply the good sportsmanship and development over winning kind of mentality. Moving on. So speaking of parents, with communicating, so contact your parents ASAP. I know all of you are wondering when the heck are we going to get our rosters. They should be sent out late tonight. If not late tonight, probably sometime tomorrow morning. So you'll get it via email. It'll have all of your players and their parents' contact information. Make sure you're contacting your parents right away. Confirm email addresses and phone numbers with them when you call them. Make sure that you have a way to get your information to them.
Real quick,
Oh,
Josh, if you don't mind me
sorry,
kind
go
of stepping in.
ahead.
Sorry, man. So real
No,
quick for all you guys, just as a heads up, what Josh has said is super, super important as far as when you email your parents, make sure, like Josh was mentioning, to ask them to go ahead and respond back to your email as soon as possible to make sure they get it. And the reason why I'm bringing this up again, just myself in the last day or two, I've gotten 2 different emails from parents basically saying, hey, I registered my child. I have not seen one email, no communication at all, which I thought was bizarre. So with them on the phone, I went into their accounts and recognized that they themselves, for whatever reason, put in the wrong email address. So it's very possible. So basically it was kind of their fault. So you're going to want to make sure, sometimes they mess up and don't put in the right email. If you send it out, and it's the wrong email, obviously it'll go into the void. You won't hear back. So just make sure you confirm with them as soon as you can.
right. Very, very good point. Thank you, Jaime. And that's also why you should start with phone calls as well. Actually get on the phone, hear a voice, talk to a person. And a lot of parents also want other emails added to your information list. Sometimes there's a mom or a dad or a second work email or something. So that's why it's good to actually get on the phone, talk to a person, and get that information to make sure that you're able to communicate with them consistently throughout the season. You can always go to our website for region related info, Facebook and Instagram as well. All those links are there. Um, so why we stress that good and timely communication with the parents will save us a lot of work and headaches in the end. If you are able to just send out a group email and everyone's going to get it, then that's fantastic. Or if you're using like a team app or something like that and everyone's going to get it, that's fantastic. You don't have to text 2 parents, email 3 parents, call the other 4 or anything like that. It's making your life easier, having good contact information for everyone. So this is a great note when emailing. Always use the BCC function. Parents' info stays secure that way. Parents might get upset if you're blasting their email out to a bunch of strangers. So some of the apps I talked about, these are just some examples. There's a ton of them. Do some research, find one you like. It's a great way to communicate. Information is kept confidential. You could send messages to everyone. They could message you. Game schedules go on there. Snack schedules can go on there. So it's a pretty great resource if you decide to use it. And then before you go any further, I want you guys to know. So if you have any questions, please either write them down or you can use kind of the chat function in the Zoom app and we'll notate them. And then at the end, we'll go through everyone's questions if they haven't been answered. So there we go. Keep on moving. So back to communicating. So your division coordinators, these are going to be your primary resources for you as coaches. to communicate, especially if you have issues or questions. They should be your first point of contact. If you have questions about just general questions or maybe issues with parents or anything like that, these are the people that you should reach out to first. If you contact me or any one of us, the board members, I'm not going to turn you away. I'm not going to ignore you because you contacted me instead of your division coordinator. I will definitely answer your questions. I'm here for you, but try and get in the habit of utilizing these resources first. So you guys can read that. So division coordinators are there to kind of monitor. They're not keeping an eye on you guys and trying to catch you doing something wrong, but they're there to help you. So if they're walking by and you see them and, oh, hey, my parent just asked this question, I didn't know what to say. That's what they're there for, stuff like that. We're all here to help you, especially if you're brand new coaches. We all understand how intimidating that can be for some people. We're not going to feed you to the wolves. We are here for you. There's no such thing as a silly question. Reach out to somebody if you're feeling uncomfortable or uneasy, or if you have any questions at all. On that same note, when you're contacting your parents, make sure they have the division coordinator info as well. This is also a primary resource contact for your parents. If they don't not want to, if they can't get the answer from you as a coach, that's totally fine. They can reach out to your division coordinators as well. All right, so team names. So try and figure out your team names ASAP. You can just pick one yourself if you want. A lot of coaches have all their players get together and kind of vote on a bunch of team names. Some names that get created are pretty fun and exciting. And so figure that out. On that note, well, how do I create a team name? I don't even know what color my uniform is. You'll get your uniform colors on Friday with your team binders at the coach meet and greet event at Dick's Sporting Goods. So there'll be a picture of your uniform colors. That way you kind of know what you're working with as far as team names. And once you do have your team names, let us know so we can pass it all along to the picture company. So anything that may have your team name on it, it can be printed on those picture items. As I said, roster should be sent out later tonight or tomorrow. And then team banners. You certainly, if you're going to have a team banner, they are not required. A lot of teams do them. They're great to have. It's fun to get creative with them. But if you are going to make a team banner, I suggest you have them ready before picture day, which is August 21st. That way your banner can be in your picture with you and your team. So programs and divisions, we'll go over each one a little bit. So schoolyard is the little guys. They're a ton of fun and a ton of work. Keeping their attention is a difficult task. This season, our schoolyard sessions are going to be run by UK international coaches, and they are going to be on Fridays. So that's going to be huge help for schoolyard. A little bit about the UK international coaches. They're from the UK, Europe, and South America. Their goal is to provide the best soccer experience to player, coaches, and organizations. So we're excited to have them on board and excited to have them being a part of our schoolyard program. VIP program. Is Shauna here, Jaime? Do you know?
You know, I did see Shauna. I saw a name Shauna, but I wasn't 100% sure if that was Shauna, but could be. I can ask to unmute and we could find out.
All right, I'll just run through this one. That's fine. If Shauna can raise her hand or something, if she has anything to add or wants to jump in. So the VIP program is kind of our special needs division. This is where we have them all together. They use a bigger ball. We also have what's called VIP buddies, which can be like older kids or adults that can help out, and they kind of join these players while they're on the field and kind of mentor them and push them along positively.
And real quick, Josh, so I think Shauna is online just in case you want to have her kind of help out a little bit too.
Perfect. Shauna, go ahead, jump in.
Hi.
Hey, Shauna.
What did you want me to go over?
Well, you can just, if you want, just go over these bullet points real quick and just kind of,
Okay. VIP buddies. We are going to be working on that. I do need volunteers. I think we have like 12 to 15 players that are registered right now. What we're planning on doing, I think I spoke with Christy, is we are going to do this 2 sessions, not by ages, but by capabilities. So we can kind of separate the players. When are we gonna hold that? On Fridays, right? 2 sessions?
correct. Yes.
4:30 and
5:30.
5:30. I can do that. Yeah.
Awesome.
Short-sighted games. Sorry, I have the kids here.
It's okay.
I don't know how we're gonna do that yet. Like, did we decide on who's gonna be playing like on the other side?
Right. That's some of that stuff we're going to have to behind the scenes kind of figure out first. But yeah, we'll definitely discuss that offline.
Yeah, I think that's it. I got all my equipment. Jerseys picked out.
Perfect.
Oh, and then we need to set up the what is it? The training, the VIP training with Paris, right?
Absolutely,
Paris.
yes. And just
would you like me to reach out to the coordinator there, or?
Yeah, absolutely. But that was something I was going to mention real quick to everybody here. So just as a heads up, everybody, as far as the VIP program, so we end up recruiting anyone out there who wants to help out, and we call them VIP buddies, and they have to go through a little bit of training, a few hours, maybe on a Saturday or so. That's to be determined, but it could also be high schoolers. So say, for example, if you guys have some high school kids that want to get some sort of credit or something along those lines, they can sign up, and what they would do is every Saturday come out, or I'm sorry, not Saturday, every Friday for these sessions, come out and work with the VIP program, work on these games, and they can get credit for this stuff. So if you have any high schoolers out there or anybody who wants to volunteer for any kind of credit to help out with the VIP program, please feel free to contact Shauna, and her information is actually on the slide itself.
Yes.
There you go. Perfect. Thank you, Shauna and Jaime.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Shauna.
All right. So next is too far. Why? Uh-oh. It's making me restart. Hold on.
Real quick,
my PowerPoint crashed.
You know what? It's okay. So while you're doing that, I'll answer a couple of questions that are starting to come in. So as far as VIP goes, yes, it would be a community service type thing. So and that's where, again, it could be high schoolers, it can be anybody out there who needs some sort of points or signatures in regards to their community service time frame. So feel free to talk to Shauna, feel free to talk to myself, and we'll kind of make that happen, or we'll figure it out for you guys. And then as far as the deadline goes, somebody had asked, is there a deadline to send the team name? So I got from Christy, our assistant regional commissioner, probably around the 13th of August. So just as a heads up, if you guys can give us your team names by the 13th of August, which is not this Friday, but the following Friday, that would be great. And I think that covers the questions I haven't answered yet. So I think you're good, Josh.
Perfect. I think I got this fixed. I don't know what happened, so sorry about that. Is Coach Taylor on board yet?
Let's see. Let's check it out. Taylor. I'm currently not seeing her. Taylor, if you can raise your hand if you're in here, and then it'll kind of pop up for me, because I'm not seeing her quite yet.
This thing is getting me.
And by the way, one other question from Mark, VIP, does everything happen on Friday? Yes, that is correct. So for VIP, just as a heads up, it's just one session a week, just like Schoolyard, and we haven't gotten to Schoolyard quite yet, but both Schoolyard and VIP only have one session per week, and it's going to be Friday. And both Schoolyard and VIP is either session 1 at 4:30 or session 2 at 5:30, where certain kids will be kind of divvied up into those 2 sessions. Is it still acting up on you, Josh?
Yeah, I just completely shut it down and restarted it. So let me get back to where we were.
practices, Mr. Ben White. We're going to talk about that very soon. Here, while Josh is kind of waiting, couple things are going on. So number one, over the last couple of months, the city and Marietta Valley Unified School District decided to try to improve our fields a little bit. I'll be honest, I was actually out there today, and field number one, which is the big field, a little questionable, a lot of weeds, so I'm not exactly thrilled with that. However, the large field, the one that houses a lot of our other fields, that's actually looking a lot better. So the reason I bring that up is they were basically saying they should be done by this Friday, but there is no 100% verification on that. So until I get verification on that, I can't let you guys know when practices occur, but I would think no later than maybe not this Monday, but the following Monday. So as soon as they give me the thumbs up, green light, Josh will let you guys know, or division coordinators let you guys know, and we'll go from there.
There you go. Perfect. Were we able to find Taylor?
I do not see anybody raising their hands, and I don't see Taylor on the list, unfortunately.
Okay.
Oh,
no
I do see Taylor's iPhone. Taylor, if that's you, can you get on your iPhone and just hit the, the raise hand button? If
so
not,
Coach Taylor is our 6U division coordinator. So we were trying to have the division coordinators present their slides, but I know her daughter was at practice today too. So I'll just run through this unless she can come in the middle of it. So 6U is obviously still the 4 and 5 year olds. It's really the time for exploration and just to get them to fall in love with the game. So it's 5v5 matches with no goalkeeper, 30-minute games, 15-minute halves. And there's no official referee, so it's coach supervision. Coaches are doing the supervising and kind of acting as referees. 6U games are on Saturdays, practices once a week, and using a size 3 soccer ball. Perfect. And then moving up to 8U, we got Alex on the line. Coach Alex.
Let's see. Alex.
There he is. He raised his hand.
Got it. Asked him. There you go, Alex. You should be good now.
All right, good to go. You can hear me?
Yes, sir.
Sir.
Cool. All right. So I'll just kind of run through it. Overall emphasis on quality training, establishing good habits, adopting foundations and development. And at the same time, prioritizes age application. One of the things that does stick out to me, they are still kids. They're getting out there, they're 8U, they're starting to play a little bit better. I've been involved over these last couple of sessions that we had while we were doing the skills development. And one of the things that, I've noticed and we probably run into a little bit is some of those skill development courses really kind of stuck out that they're going to be developing. They are still kids. It's going to take them a little while to kind of get up to speed. So keep that in mind as we go through and start the practices and the games. Like, have those expectations reasonable of when you're getting out there. And, as you see where they need help, I'm happy to get out there if you need something. And I know coaches are give you a little bit of help that's out on the field and get them involved. Games occur on Saturdays. Practices are up to 2 times a week. And then, you are the coaches, set the expectation of when the practices are. Really think about when you're putting those things together. There's going to be a lot of times where parents are going to be like, well, this day doesn't work or this day doesn't work. You're the coach and you need to try to make concessions where you can, but you're not going to please everybody. And so find the best time that's going to be available. I think have field reservations or any of that stuff come up yet? Josh or Jaime, that's not been out there, right?
Not yet. We'll get there.
Okay. So there's going to be limited spaces for fields and times. So, you're going to have to find what works good for you and what you're going to be able to be there for, and then just let the parents know. In my experience, most of the parents do show up. And so everyone does show up, even if they say they can't make it. It's amazing what happens when they get there. So if any of you are first-time coaches, keep that in mind. But if you can make something work for them, then absolutely try to see what you can do. It's important for the kids. We're out there for them. Practices, like I said, 2 times a week, size 3 soccer ball, 9 games total, and the 10-game possibility. So that one's there. We'll keep you updated if that 10th game comes. If we update the schedule, we'll make sure that gets out to you. I sent out an email with my contact information for you. So if you have anything, absolutely feel free to reach out for me, or look for me on Saturdays. I'll probably be out there on that field, and I'll either be wearing a board shirt or a coach shirt, so you should be able to tag me. 45 to 60-minute long practices, 1 to 2 times a week, 40-minute games. Now they have the breaks included. What is that? That means like the clock's running through your break time, the water time. So you're going to want to make sure that when they're getting water, it's got to be quick. Parents stay off the field, and they'll just hand the waters over during those quick water breaks. You don't want the players coming off the field. 6 versus 6 with no goalkeeper. Now this is different than someone might look up for a U8. Usually it's 5 versus 5, but because we want to do 75% play time, the only way to do that is to get 6 versus 6 out there on the field. And all of our games should be interdivision, so you're not going to be having to worry about like, oh, they don't do it this way, because we're only dealing with 1463, which is honestly the best region anyway. So stay with us. It's the best way to go.
Yeah.
No offside. That equals more goals, and that's going to just be more fun for the kids when they're getting out there. Everyone wants to try to score the goal. Everyone's trying to get down there. So, that'll be really great for them with this age. Certified referee to center. So this is an important one. As you're going through, there's going to be some volunteer points and other things that are kind of talked about. It's going to be 1 certified referee at the center, and the ARs are going to be only youth referees is what our target is, because when they're trying to referee a game, the 8 U's are honestly the best place to get started and try to get out there, and that's the place for the ARs. If you're going to be out there trying to help out as a coach, it would only be as the center. A youth referee can do it if they have a coach mentor on the sideline that's going to be giving them help and kind of supporting them. But really, as you're refereeing, we want you to kind of aim up toward the higher divisions. The 8U, like, it's there, but there's not a whole lot that you're kind of refereeing at that point. So that's the best opportunity for the young ARs to really get the experience. And then if you have any more questions and stuff, I'm sure that Jaime and Josh will be answering those toward the end. Information's online on the website. If you send me a message, I'll do my best to kind of get back to you and point you to the right direction and find where it is on the website that information's at too. So, you can point at that and say that that's where it is. And I think that I've probably taken up enough time there. So I'll stop talking.
Oh, that was fantastic, Alex. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. So moving right along to 10U, our 10U division coordinator, Mr. Carlos Torres.
Hey guys, my name is Carlos Torres. I'm the 10U coordinator. Talked to most of you probably already, but real quick, just want to cover the 10U division. 10U division is 60-minute practices, 1 to 2 times a week. I do recommend you do at least 2 practices a week, because I'm sure the other coaches are going to do 2 practices a week. So if you do 1, it is a disservice to the kids, but it is a volunteer role, so that you guys decide. But I would highly recommend 2 practices a week. The games are 50-minute games with 25-minute halves, including the breaks. So we do quarters. So the first quarter, second quarter, and halftime, and then third and fourth quarter. It is going to be 7v7. A goalkeeper is involved, so there are goalkeepers. There is something different in 10U division. It is the offside rule, which is the build-out line. The build-out line is, as someone is doing on that on there for me, and I'm going to send you a video so you understand it. What exactly the build-out line rule is. Essentially, just real quick, is instead of using offside rule past the halfway line, we use it past the build-out line, which you can see on the diagram there is the blue line. So essentially, if you're trying to attack, you will not call offsides until you're off past the blue line. For example, on the right side there, what that little pointer is, if you're offsides there, then it would be called by the referee. If you're offsides a little bit past the halfway line, that is not called offsides in 10U division. Again, that sounds a little confusing, but it really isn't. I'll send you a video that explains everything perfectly. You can see at the bottom there, on the bottom right, there's a description to watch the YouTube video. I'm going to text it to you immediately after this meeting, so you have it. And I'll tell you, like I said, send it out to the 10U coaches. For 10U, the other thing is different. Well, actually, 8U has referees too now, but 10U referees are required. There will be a center referee and 2 assistant referees, ARs, 1 on each side. And that has to be provided. We'll talk more about that. I'm not going to go into too much detail, but that has to be provided by the teams as well. Referees are provided by all of us. We're all volunteers, and AYSO, we all volunteer. So, games are on Saturdays, just like every other division, except for schoolyard or VIP. Size 4 soccer ball, and it's going to be a 9-game total. season with a Commissioner's Cup, which again, we'll talk about later, but a Commissioner's Cup playoff weekend, the final week of the season. And I think that's it. Thank you, guys.
Awesome. Real quick, if you don't mind me stepping in, Josh, just one little quick thing. And thank you, Carlos, by the way. That was awesome, my friend. So real quick, as a heads up to you guys, as far as the offside video that Carlos is talking about, there is a link there. I think I mentioned this in the chat. We're going to provide this presentation along with the video on the website, so you'll have it. But please do us a favor and send that link for the offside to all of your parents and just ask them to make sure to look at it, because there are so many times throughout the season where we're refereeing and the parents are constantly calling offside when it really isn't. So it would be great if they can actually watch that video for us. So feel free to send that over to the parents as well.
Yeah, excellent point, Jaime. That's true. There's a lot of great referees on the sideline every match. So it's important if they understand that offside rule, for sure. All right, on to 12U. So we're stepping up a little bit. Same amount of practice time. The games are a little bit longer. Here's the big ticket items where you really start to focus on positioning, teach them their positions and encourage them. As far as goalkeepers, you cannot play more than 3 quarters as the keeper. If they do end up playing 3 quarters, they must play a 4th quarter on the field. The only way that can happen is if you have a minimum amount of players show up, because no one can sit twice before every player has sat once already. So having one player to play all 4 quarters is probably going to be a rare occurrence. But in case it does happen for keepers, that's the rule. And 12U, still no headers are allowed. If the ball does hit a player's head, even if it's accidental, it's immediate stoppage in play, and it becomes an indirect free kick to the opposing team, even if it's accidental. So keep that in mind. Tell the players to keep their heads off the ball. Practice 2 times a week. Also a size 4 soccer ball in 12U. All of our games will be at our home fields in Marietta. 9-game season with Commissioner's Cup, possibility of a 10th game. So that's 12U. 14U, they get longer practices now and longer games. They're 11v11. This is where you really focus on positions, not so much moving everyone around and moving players from position to position. They're old enough now. Generally, if you have a defensive player, they'll play in defense for the most part. Obviously, you can move them around, but really sticking the positional players in the correct positions is where you want to focus on 14U and up. There is no limit for goalkeepers in 14U. They can play all 4 quarters. And headers are allowed 14U and up. Substitutions are only allowed during quarter breaks, or if there happens to be an injury. So start date for 14U is still TBA, to be announced. Once you get to 14U and up, it is a size 5 soccer ball. And 14U will do what we call interleaguing, which means they'll travel to our surrounding regions, French Valley, Menifee, Paris, and those regions will also travel to us too. 16U and 19U, very similar to 14U. 90-minute practices, 70-minute games, 11v11. Kind of same thing here. Once you get to 16 and 19U, you have what's called free substitutions. If you guys have questions about that, let me know. I'll explain it at a different time, so we don't waste too much time here. Same thing, size 5 ball. They're going to be Area 1R teams with possibility to play against Area 1N.
And just as a heads up on that, so, 1N, as far as it's not confirmed, but it could be teams like a team that's out in Hemet, for example, possibly maybe even Redlands. So all that stuff is still in flux. Area 1R, which is basically responsible for all of our various AYSO regions in Riverside County, they're still working on that right now. So as soon as they finalize that, we will let your 16U and 19U teams know.
Perfect. Thank you, Jaime. And then equipment. So every player is going to get a uniforms, which includes jerseys, shorts, and socks. I always get parents every season say, what kind of socks do I get? They're coming with your uniform. You're required to wear shin guards, every player underneath their socks. Shin guards are not part of the uniform that's issued to you. So parents and players will be responsible for their own shin guards. Cleats are not required, so sneakers or tennis shoes are acceptable, but of course, cleats are highly recommended. Definitely stress. Maybe you have a player that, I don't know, doesn't have cleats, maybe just can't afford cleats. If you run into that situation, maybe get the rest of the team to kind of pull together and maybe get that kid some cleats. But that's up to you as a coach. So there's the rule. Do with it what you will. Quick rundown. So 8U and below is a size 3 ball, 10U and 12U is size 4, and 14U and above is a size 5. So water, this is huge. I can't stress this enough. We all know where we live. It gets super, super hot here. And every Saturday, there's players that show up without water. I don't know why. I don't know how that happens, but it does happen. Please stress to your parents to bring water with your kids, or have your kids bring water with them. And no matter how much you think is enough water, bring more, especially with our heat. Make sure you communicate that with your parents. And so things that are not allowed is any sort of jewelry. Medical alert bracelets are the only exception. No sunglasses unless they're prescription. Casts or splints, even if they're padded and the doctor is cleared, are just not allowed. So moving on.
One additional quick caveat, because we've seen this in the past too. Just heads up, make sure that whether it be at practices or games, no baseball hats as well, everybody. So I know sometimes people are like, well, why not? You know, the brim itself, if a child falls and another child falls on the brim or whatever, they can potentially get hurt. So definitely let your parents know no baseball hats out on the field.
All right, thank you. Good point, Jaime. I should add that into the slide. Okay, so all of our home games, including VIP and Schoolyard, will be at our home fields. This is the address. And as far as practices at 1463, the majority of coaches do hold their practices at the same park where we hold our games. There is a list of surrounding parks that are authorized on our website. I'll show you guys that here shortly. You are not allowed to practice anywhere else unless it's on that list. So keep that in mind. If there's a park really close to your house that's super convenient, sorry, if it's not on that list, you can't bring your players there. So as far as home and away on the fields, this is just one field. The parking lot is over here for pretend. So the side facing the parking lot is going to be the away team, and the side away from the parking lot is going to be the home team. So in previous seasons, it was reversed. This is the first season. We're switching it around. So some of you senior coaches are like, wait a minute, that looks backwards. It is, because we switched it. So
just as a heads up, we just realized, you know, especially the older teams, when other teams from other regions would come over to our fields, we were on the home side, which was the sun side. So we're thinking, meaning the sun was blasting in our faces in the morning, and we're thinking, why are we putting ourselves in a position where the sun is coming down on us? So just a heads up, that's kind of the reasoning why we switched that up, just to help us out.
Perfect. Thank you. And just so you guys know, so this website should all look familiar to you. You can see the list of fields. If you hit volunteers, coach portal, which is where we're at already, and then scroll right down here, this link. Okay, there's a nice list of all the authorized fields and addresses. This is our field. So here's the parking lot. So this side of every field would be the away team. This side of every field would be the home side. But anyway, scroll down. Here are the list of authorized parks. You can Google map them, drive by them, addresses are there. Those are the only places you're authorized to hold your practices. So let me get rid of that. All right, the Commissioner's Cup. Jaime, you want to take this one?
Sure, let's do it. So real quick, everybody, We did this some seasons ago, right before COVID struck, and it's basically called the Commissioner's Cup. What we end up doing, and Carlos, our volunteer coordinator, will touch on this a little bit in a little bit. But basically, the Commissioner's Cup is an end of season celebration, basically from 8U division to the 12U division. And what ends up happening is, based on your, what it is, it's a 1-day tournament. And at that point, whoever wins that 1-day tournament ends up becoming the division champion. We try to make it fun for the kids. We kind of make it feel a little bit more of like a carnival-esque type atmosphere. But going down the quick bullet points, so eligible teams will be allowed to compete at the single elimination tourney. And Carlos, again, will go over that a little bit. What ends up happening is each one of these teams will have a certain amount of volunteer points that they got to do during the season. And you know what? If your team unfortunately goes 0-9, 0 wins and 9 losses, as long as you did all the volunteer points you had to do for the season, you're invited. Your team is in, right? And we try to make it a lot of fun for the kids. And as mentioned, those kids, 10U and 12U specifically, if they win their championship, they end up moving on to what's called the area playoffs. And that's another big deal where all the various regions from all of our various all the champions from our various regions in Riverside meet up, and they have like a 1 to 2 day tournament, which is a lot of fun. Just as a heads up real quick, so 8U is also going to be a part of this. We're doing it mostly as like a training type thing, right? 8U, there is no area playoffs for 8U, but it's almost like, hey, we're trying to kind of get them to understand what the Commissioner's Cup is all about in preparation for them being in 10U for the possibility of area playoffs. So, and then on 14U side of things, there will not be a Commissioner's Cup for them. What we're planning on doing is our own little 1 to 2 day unique tournament just for them, and that's going to be held at Menifee. So Menifee for 14U, they're going to host this sucker for us, and that's going to be a lot of fun as well. So it's just going to be a end of season fun day for everybody.
Perfect. Thank you, Jaime. Mm-hmm. And now, do you want to do the pins too? I know you're the pin guy.
Oh, I love pins. So real quick, we started this about like 2 years ago, and it's gone over really, really well. So again, these are the region recognition pins. As you can see on the slide, there's 3 different types of pins, right? Skills champ, really that, sportsmanship, and superstar. And basically what that means is from the 6U division and up, coaches would actually, while you're playing your games, each coach is going to be asked to look at the other team and say, for example, on that week, it's all about, it's going to be the skills champ pin, right? So you as a coach, you're going to keep an eye on the other team a little bit. And you're going to see, okay, on that team for this week, hey, there's this one child that I noticed his skills are incredible, or were incredible in this game. What's going to happen is at the very end of each game, the teams are going to come together, and each coach is going to basically say, okay, for example, I have the skills champ pin. I noticed that on this other team, this child was incredible out there. He or she did a great job. I want to give this skills champ pin to that child. So it is really a way to kind of, give some recognition to all these kids, make them feel great. Everybody applauds, and, it's kind of a way to kind of recognize a lot of these kids out there. As a heads up to you guys, there will be 1 pin that gets given out per team each week. So every coach will have 1 pin that they kind of have in their pocket. They're kind of watching, and then at the end of the game, they give a pin out. As a heads up to some of you coaches, although this may not apply to you guys, but schoolyard, no pins this season. We've noticed in the past, we tried doing schoolyard with pins, and it was rough. They're really, really young, and we noticed that, of course, you give the 1 pin to the one child and they're loving life, but the other kids start crying, or they run to their parents and they think it's the end of the world. And we're like, okay, obviously they're a little too young for this. But for 6U and up, that's the plan. And VIP is also going to be a part of it as well. As a heads up on that, 6U and VIP, what we're basically saying is that every one of those kids at some point throughout the season should be getting one. So if you're a 6U coach, or if you're involved in VIP, be aware that you need to be able to give one, so that way at least every single player on your team will eventually get one in the season, right? For 8U and above, that's where we start changing it up a little bit. They need to be earned. So it really should boil down to the coaches looking at the team. And it doesn't matter if a child has gotten it twice or 3 times. It really should be, hey, that child deserves it. I'm going to give it to that child, right? And obviously, as a coach of the opposite team, you're not going to really have an idea how many hit pins the other team got. So it really should be an earned thing from 8 even above. Josh, am I missing anything else on that?
I think you nailed it. That was awesome, Jaime. Thank you.
Okay, cool.
If let's say you are on a team and you're noticing one player is really getting like a pin every week, that's fantastic for that player. But as a coach, might be an idea to just have a kind of a meeting with the other coach beforehand and say, hey, look, this guy's already got, this guy or this gal has already got 4. And we're only on week 5. So as great as this player might be, maybe try and pick someone else. You can kind of have that one-on-one with the other coach ahead of time. If you so choose, and if you happen to be in a situation like that. So perfect. All right. UK International. So not only are they going to be doing the VIP program, or excuse me, the schoolyard program, they're also going to be having clinics for us, for the coaches throughout the season. So they're going to be hosting seminars on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Coaches and your teams can attend. So we definitely recommend you guys checking it out. It's not only to give your players maybe a little different viewpoint as far as information coming from a different coach, but they're also there to help you as a coach. So you can learn from them, see how they do things, see how they communicate, see how they talk, look at the kind of drills and activities they run, ask them questions, pick their brains. That's why they're here, to help us as coaches become even better coaches.
A 1,000,000%, Josh. And just as a heads up to you guys, so how this is going to kind of work, and we'll send this information as we get a little bit closer and they start getting involved. So what's going to end up happening is there are going to be about maybe 3 slots available on a Tuesday and 3 slots available on a Thursday. And it might be themed, right? It might be like, hey, this week we're going to focus on goalkeeper type clinics or something along those lines, right? So then chances are Josh is going to send out an email to all of your coaches saying, okay, for this coming Tuesday, here's the theme, and we got 3 slots available. It kind of is a first come first serve type thing. You guys will fill out the slots as far as like, okay, I want to go ahead and work with UK International, and then at that point, UK will work with you on that a lot of time, and you'll go from there. So if I were you guys, back in the day, we used to do this as well. It actually is incredibly helpful as long as you work with those coaches. They're amazing, amazing UK coaches, and I would take advantage of it if you can, for sure.
Definitely. Lots of information to be learned there. So we do have tons of training plans available on our website. This is how you get to it. Website, volunteers, and then right on the coach portal, practice training plans. They're listed right here. There's a ton of them there. That's by no means you're limited to this. YouTube is a fantastic resource. I also sent out a link a couple weeks ago, I think, with another great resource of training plans, and you could even use that interface to create your own if you want on the link I sent out. But easy access right here. There's more information than you can handle. So check that out, especially if you're not sure what to do, what drills to do. It'll all be right there. There's a lot of great information there. As always, if you have any questions, you can find probably the answer to it on our website, but if you can't, or maybe you just don't want to deal with the computer, that's fine. Contact me anytime. You all should have my phone number and my email. It's on the bottom of all the emails I send out. I am here to help you. So use me as a resource too. So coaches, keep this in mind. As we talked about, contact your parents ASAP. If you don't have contact back from them by the end of the week, or don't talk to them, or some sort of communication like that, reach out to us, and maybe there's another email or another phone number that's listed that we can give you to try out. The coach meet and greet is at Dick's Sporting Goods this Friday. It's a busy week for us. 6U will start at 5 p.m. 8U will start at 6 p.m. 10U will start at 7 p.m. 12U at 8 p.m. We will have a 20% off coupon. So make sure you tell your parents that while they're there. Once they meet their fantastic coaches, they can go do some shopping. If they need balls or shin guards or equipment, use that 20% coupon.
Real
On
quick.
that.
Oh, I'm sorry, Josh, if you don't mind me jumping in here real quick, real fast. Is that cool? So
Mm-hmm.
real fast, everybody. So just as a heads up to you guys, for 6U coaches, 8U coaches, 10U coaches, 12U coaches, yeah, absolutely. We need you guys to be there on that night. The way it would work is we would have tables set up on one side of, you know, a certain part of Dick's Sporting Goods. We would have the boys team. So we would have tables, we'd have chairs for you guys. You're going to sit there. It's going to have a nice little nameplate, maybe some balloons, something along those lines. And your kids will come in and say hi to you, shake your hand, and you guys can maybe talk. I'm sure the parents will have questions in terms of like, hey, when do you think we're going to have practices? It's a chance for you to meet your kids and meet the parents to kind of give, you know, whatever expectations you have of them and just give some basic information, right? So it would be highly, highly important for you guys to make it. If for whatever reason you cannot make the event, please let Josh know as soon as you can. What you should still try and tell your parents, and we're going to do this in an email as well. Tell those parents and tell those kids to still go to Dick's Sporting Goods, even if you can't make it for whatever reason. Tell them to still go. We're going to have a bunch of board members there. They can ask us questions. You know, we can help them out as much as possible. Not a problem. And then for any other division that's not on here, like for example, the 14U division, 16U, 19U, you guys are completely all welcome to go. Maybe the coaches aren't there, but like I said a second ago, board members are going to be there. We'll answer all the questions you have. You can use the coupon to buy a bunch of stuff, some soccer equipment. Still try to get your families to go. So send that information out as soon as you can to everybody. Is that Josh?
Excellent. Thank you, Jaime. And also, if you are going to be there and you're going to be meeting several of your players and their parents, guess what you can do? Get their contact information. And maybe have a roster printed out. They can write in their name, their phone number, and an email. That way you're actually getting it from them face to face. I would highly suggest that if you're going to be there. So practices.
And one thing, I'm sorry, Josh, I interrupted you again, but one thing that Christy actually just reminded me, which is super, super important. Another reason why it's actually really important for you guys to go there. Christy, who is our assistant regional commissioner, she is getting your binders and folders ready to go for that event. So she plans on providing you those binders and that important information at that event. So please, please, please do whatever you can to make that event, because again, not only is it going to be important for your players to meet you, but there's going to be important binders that you guys need to get a hold of on that day.
Right, which will also include your uniform colors inside that binder. We spoke about that briefly earlier. So thank you, Jaime. Moving on, practice begin. We spoke about this. Specific date, still TBA. This should be happening soon. We'll certainly let you know. As soon as we know, you'll know. As far as 14U divisions and up, I highly recommend that you guys start practices as soon as Monday. You won't be able to use Warm Springs until we are give you the green light, but you can utilize some of those other fields until Warm Springs is open. And then when it opens, if you want to move your practices to Warm Springs, you can. But especially for 16U and up, because your games start earlier than our regular core season, highly suggest you start practicing right away. Uniforms is still TBD as well. It will certainly occur before picture day, which is the 21st, because we want all the players to be in their uniforms. What'll happen is uniforms will be given to the coaches, and coaches will be responsible for distributing them to their players. More info to come on that.
And by the way, a quick heads up on that one too, Josh. So like you just said a second ago, we'll let you know. We're going to put a date together for coaches to probably meet up at Warm Springs, and we're going to have boxes all over the place, and you guys pick up, you know, your uniforms. And then you guys would talk to the parents, and between you and the parents, you would figure out what day works best for all of you to kind of meet. But one thing we want to make sure to mention to you guys, because we get this question a lot from parents, hey, I inputted a certain size in you know, Sports Connect or whatever the case. we actually don't follow the sizes on Sports Connect. Historically, unfortunately, we can't turn that sucker off, but historically what's happened is somebody will input, hey, I want a youth large, for example. And then when they get the youth large, it doesn't fit right. It's, then all of a sudden it's just a mess, right? So what we've been doing, and something to make you guys aware of, once you guys get your uniforms, make sure to get, and this could be on your first practice. This could be, obviously it has to happen before August 21st, but what you want to do is line up your children from the smallest child to the largest child in a line, right? And what's going to end up happening is the numbers on the uniforms correspond to the sizes. So meaning the smallest number, like number 2, is the smallest jersey, right? Up until 14, 15, whatever the largest number is. So you line up the kids and then you kind of start figuring out, okay, here are the uniforms going upwards based on the number, right? Does that kind of make sense? For the most part, thumbs up, thumbs down. Yeah. Okay. So cool. Just be aware of that, guys.
Right. We'll send that information out again, also in an email or something like that, explaining it. And if you do have questions, shoot us an email, talk to your division coordinator, something like that. We'll make sure you have the answers. So game schedule, obviously not released yet. More information to come on that. So as I spoke about earlier, 16U and up, their first games start on the week of the 23rd. That's only 20 days away. So if you're a coach in those divisions, start getting your players together and start your practices at one of those available fields. So Fridays for VIP and schoolyard starting September 10th. And for the bulk of us, the core divisions, our first games will be Saturday, September 11th. And there we go. All right. So Mr. Carlos, you take it from here, buddy.
You want to, Josh, do you want to push the slides for me?
Yep.
All right, perfect. So real quick, volunteer related. So main thing is obviously you guys are all volunteers. We thank you very much. You're gonna hear myself and Josh and Jaime and Carrie, all the board members. We're always gonna say thank you to you. So thank you so much again for volunteering to coach. I'm sure it's not easy, especially with all the things going on and you guys having work and a busy life, of course. So I know I spoke to a lot of you guys and some of you I had to kind of convince, which is awesome that you did it, but that is amazing. So thank you. But anyways, what's a volunteer? A volunteer is a coach, a referee, a registrar, field manager, anybody involved in AYSO is a volunteer. Anyone can be a volunteer as long as they pass a background check and do a volunteer application. It's a great program for our kids. It helps our communities. Someone asked me before, Carlos, why do you volunteer so much in AYSO? And the reason I do it is for my son and for my daughter, for your kids, and for our community. That's why I do it. So, and I know that a lot of board members do it for that same reason. We just want the kids to go out there and have fun. Plus my kids and all the kids that you volunteer for and stuff, whatever, they're gonna remember the fact that you stepped up and coached and we're a part of this wonderful organization. So the other thing is too, sometimes there's a misconception that board members, and I wanna make this perfectly clear, that board members are paid volunteers or paid members. Absolutely false. Every one of us is a volunteer, meaning we do not get paid. We even do not get discounts on our kids. We don't get any discounted rates or any special treatment of any kind. Everyone is treated the same. Again, we volunteer our time for our kids and our community. So Jaime is the regional commissioner. He keeps us all organized and well-run organization. He does an amazing job. I can't enough kudos to Jaime. I mean, he does a great job. And then Josh being the coach admin, and all of us do a great job. Harry and Christy, and there's too many people to mention out right now. I don't want to take up much time, but again, when you see these guys, make sure to say thank you. Just like I'm going to tell all the parents to say thank you to you for stepping up and coaching. But we need more volunteers. Definitely, again, we're a volunteer organization, so we definitely need more. Anyone can be a volunteer. Mom, dad, relatives, friends, anyone can do it. So if you can talk to people to help us out, especially on your team, the parents on your team, we're definitely going to need as much help as possible. Moving on. So here are the board members, a picture of us. Here's the board members. I'm not going to go through the whole list, but as you can see us, we're a rambunctious group. But no, seriously, we all work really well together. We love being out there. Again, we do it all for the kids and for our community. So please, we do need more board members. We recently added 2, Roger and Jason. They're also coaches. They just recently joined the board, and that's awesome. So the more board members we have to help, the better it's going to be for everybody. Did the slide freeze on you, Josh?
Yep, it sure did.
Okay, anyways, I'll keep talking. So, so if you are willing to help out, I mean, being a board member does not mean you devote hours and hours a day or days and days a week. It just means as much time as you can to help us provide a organized or a wonderful experience for the kids. It'd be great. Everyone has different abilities or contacts or ways to help, which is amazing. You may know somebody that could help us out in the organization, maybe give us a discount on something we need, whether it be equipment or whatever. That'd be awesome, right? Or maybe you have a skill set that you're really good at and you'd love to do that would help us and benefit the organization. We definitely could use you. Now, you don't have to be just a board member to volunteer. Obviously, you can coach, which you guys are, assistant coaches. We're going to ask for referees. We definitely need referees. I cannot stress enough how much we need referees. We are having referees for 8U and above games. Okay, so that means 8U, 10U, 12U, 14U, 16U, and 19U. We definitely need referees. Myself, Josh, Carrie, Jaime, Christy, the board members cannot referee every game. There's just no way. There's just not enough of us. So we definitely need you guys as coaches either to find referees within your own group, meaning your team, and or if you guys are willing to referee, that would be amazing. Again, we need center referees, assistant referees, youth referees, starting at the age of 12, can be ARs for the lower divisions. That'd be amazing. And then obviously also helping for the VIP program to help Shauna out. She has a lot of kids in that program, which is amazing, but we definitely need help for that as well. Moving on.
Oh, come on.
Your freeze on you again?
Oh, there we go.
Okay, so all volunteers, real quick, everybody knows this on this call because their coaches already. They're required to complete the application, required to complete the background check, but then you also have to do the training courses, which is Safe Haven, the CDC concussion course, then the sudden cardiac arrest course, and then you have to do up to whatever division you're coaching. So if you're coaching for example, the 10U division, you would have to do the 6U, 8U, and then the 10U certifications online. From 10U and above, there also is in-person training that has to be done. Josh is the one who administers that and does that. Does a great job. Most of you have already done it. But if you haven't, we're going to have another one. I'm not sure on the date, but we're going to have some other ones for certifying 10U and above coaches. And that'll be soon, and it'll be to be announced. And then we do have referee certifications that have to, again, we definitely need referees for this season. So you're going to be asked, and I'll go over in just a little bit, you're going to be asked to make sure you recruit or have parents and or yourself become referees. You do have to take an online class. You do have to take an online in-person class. I'm sorry, not online, an in-person class to be completely certified as a referee. And before anyone says referees, it's hard to referee. It really isn't. We will train you. We will mentor you. We will not leave you alone. And we definitely will not allow any of the fans or parents in the sidelines to ridicule or say things to you. We completely discourage that. And we do a pretty good job of making sure the referees feel comfortable refereeing the games. And we'll talk about how we do that in just a second. Moving on.
All right.
So here's a volunteer point system. So now, 8U and above is required to complete volunteer points. It's a requirement in order to participate in the Commissioner's Cup, like Jaime spoke about earlier. The Commissioner's Cup is a playoff tournament. All teams are required to hit a minimum requirement. Okay, so it's that basic. Every team is required to hit a minimum requirement. Now, minimum requirements vary by division. So we're going to move on to the division points. Go ahead. Josh, is it actually on the slide or do I have to share my screen?
Yeah, can you share your screen?
Okay, so let me share my screen real quick. It says disabled.
Oh, stop.
Don't get too intimidated when you see this document, by the way. Don't get intimidated.
It's really not that complicated. It's actually basic, but bear with us. Now remember, AYSO is all volunteer based, which is why we developed this volunteer point system so that your parents understand they have to help you. Okay? You can't just be the coach doing everything. The parents must help you as well. Let me see if I get here. Yep, here we go. So here's a volunteer point system. So here's 8U. And actually, I'm sorry, let me see if I can make that full screen. Is that up there? Let me see, did it work? Close that. Yes, here you go. Ooh, how is that 2-page? I don't want 2-page. Hold on, sorry about that. Here we go. Okay. So for 8U, here are the volunteer points that are required. Okay, I'm gonna go through it quickly. If you have questions, please type it in the chat so we can answer it. So AU division, here are the required volunteer points to qualify for the Commissioner's Cup. The head coach has to be completely certified through the current division. So that's required. The head coach must go through the referee course online and take the in-person training. And that's just to help you understand the rules of the game as a coach. So that's one of the reasons we do that. And then hopefully so you can also ref. Tent duty is required, or ref tent duty is required. Player evaluation forms have to be completed by every coach. So that's going to be required. And that'll be towards the end of the season. Usually 3 weeks before the end of the season, we'll send you player evaluations. So again, we can form balanced teams for the next season. And then you have an X amount of miscellaneous points that are required for this division. It says 10 points. And then you also have to referee, your team will have to referee at least 4 games. Okay, so that's 4 games because it's 1 point per game you referee. Typically for AU games, we're only going to have 1 referee. If we do have more than one referee, it'll be youth referees on the sidelines, on both sides. So we call it ARs, but it's only 1 point per game. So you have to ref at least 4 games. And remember, there's 9 games in the season, so roughly a little bit less than half the games. And then we also, something new we did, we want you to take pictures of the pin winner and then pictures of your game. Now, obviously not you, you assign a parent or a team parent, or your assistant coach can maybe do that, or just a parent on your team, but to take at least 4 pictures plus the pin winner, and then we'll send it over to the league, and then you will get your point for the week. And you are supposed to do that. There are 9 weeks in the season. As long as you do 2/3 of it, which is 6 weeks, you'll hit your required points. And those are the requirements. Now you can also have an assistant coach, to fulfill the miscellaneous point requirement. There's a lot of things you can do, because again, it's 10 points that are required. You can referee more games. You can do more tent duty. You can line the fields. You can have a head coach. Head coach aren't required, but head coach. Assistant coach. You can have an assistant coach, and that'll give you 3 points of the 10 that you need. Attending the coach's meet and greet this Friday gives you 3 miscellaneous points. So if you have an assistant coach and then you go to the coach's meet and greet this Friday, you have now 6 of the 10. If you have a certified team manager, you get 5 points. Attend the coach's meeting is 3 points. I apologize. Attending the coach's meeting today, if you're already attending this meeting right now and we're going to record it, you already have 3 points. If you go to the coach's meet and greet, you have 3 more points, that's 6 points. And then if you already have an assistant coach, or if you get a team manager, that gives you a total of 11 points. So you've already pretty much hit your miscellaneous points. Upgrading your certification gives you an extra 5 points that will go towards your miscellaneous points. Or upgrading your referee certification will also give you an extra 5 points. And then extra tent duty is 1 point per volunteer. And then extra sets of pictures is 2 points per set of 3 games. So if you volunteer to take pictures of other games, up to 3 games, you get 2 points per set per week. And then, of course, lining the fields and filling the gopher holes and setting up the goals. Because again, us as board members, we go on Fridays, we line the fields, we fill the gopher holes, and we set up the goals. And then if we get volunteers to help us, it makes it job a lot easier. Then we give you 2 points per volunteer that comes out. That's the 8U division. Now, every division has their own requirement. 10U division, pretty much everything's the same except for the refereeing. On refereeing, you have to complete 16 points. Now, refereeing for 10U and above is a little different. The points are 2 points for a center referee and 1 point for an assistant referee. Each team is going to be required to have at least a set of referees, meaning 3 individuals, a center referee and 2 ARs, which would give you a total of 4 points. So if you do 4 points per game, that's roughly 4 games. Now, some people don't get 3 people to volunteer, or they choose not to. So they just do all the points, 2 points at a time, or 1 point at a time, which makes it a lot harder, which is a lot more than 4 games. But as long as you have a ref crew in your team, you would get done in about 4 games. But so the difference between 8U and 10U is really the 16 points that they have to get on refereeing. And duty is the same, player evaluations is the same. And then we also do sportsmanship points. This is how we protect the referees. Each referee on their match will grade the sidelines, will grade the coaches, will grade the teams from 1 to 5. If they behaved and did really well and they were good sports throughout the game, they get 5 points. From 5 to 4. If they were average, they get 3 points. If they did a poor job and they were yelling and screaming at the referee, they'd get 2 points. And if they were very, very negative, whatever, they get 1 point. You have to have 35 points by the end of the season, sportsmanship points. you can get up to 5 per game in order to qualify for the Commissioner's Cup. If you get below 35 points, your team will not be invited to the Commissioner's Cup. And obviously the kids would be extremely disappointed. So we need to make sure we are always protecting our referees. And then everything else is pretty much the same. And 12U, same thing. Everything is the same for 12U. They do have to ref up to 4 game or up to 16 points. Everything else is pretty much the same. The one thing I haven't talked about is we do need to make sure that if you're the first game of the day on Saturdays, you have to set up the fields, help set up the fields by going back and doing a double check of gopher holes and or lining the fields if we need it, and then setting up the goals. I'm setting up the nets on the goals. If for whatever reason your team does not do it, and again, it's the first game of the day on Saturdays. If you don't do it, your team will lose 2 points per incident. Typically, obviously, there's two teams per game. So one team would do half the field, the other team would do the other half. If for whatever reason you didn't do it as a team, then you would lose 2 points. The same thing goes for closing it down. If you are the last game of the field, you have to tear down the field. So if you're the last game, it's your responsibility to tear down the field, put the flags down, take the nets down, remove the goals, put them away. And again, you would just pick a half. Since there's 2 teams, one team would do one half, the other team would do the other half. If for whatever reason your team doesn't do it, then you would lose 2 points. And again, that gets deducted from your totals. 14U, they don't have a Commissioner's Cup, but if they happen to make it to playoffs, area playoffs, if they don't hit their minimum requirement of points, they will also not get to participate in area playoffs, which would be a bummer, especially if they came in first place in area, right? So, or they'd be able to qualify. So they are playing away games a lot, so they do not have as many ref points. They only have to do 8 points because half their games will be away, which is why they only do 8 points for reffing. But everything else is pretty much the same. And then 16U, same thing, because half their games will be away. They only have to do 8 points of refereeing, which is roughly about 2 games if they have a 3-man crew. And everything else is pretty much the same. 19U, same thing. And I think that is it. Oh, so some people ask, what's tent duty? What does that mean? Here's a brief description. All this is on our website, so you can provide it to your team. But tent duty is just basic stuff. We provide water for referees, provide equipment for referees. We have soccer balls for each match, so they have to sign them off and then make sure we get them back. Provide info to parents or guardians as they walk by or if they have questions. Keep the fields free of trash. Provide pins to the coaches and have them sign them off. Provide ref cards, collect the ref cards. Take pictures of the games. Provide contact information. Take game time information. All this information will be at the tent, but we need people manning them. So when people come up and ask questions, they'll be able to direct them correctly. And then lining the fields, it's just painting the fields, lining the fields, fill gopher holes, set up goals in the fields. One thing I didn't talk about was a 5-goal rule. And here in AYSO 1463, we don't like blowing out teams. We try to keep them as balanced as possible. Sometimes it does not work for whatever reason. So we try to keep a 5-goal differential. For example, if you're a 12U team and you're killing another 12U team, let's say you're up 5-0, we ask that you try to figure out a way to slow down the scoring. I know it's hard to tell players that, but the way you can do that is move the offense to defense, have players pass the ball several times before they attempt to score, have players maybe practice using their left foot or right foot, their non-dominant foot, to try to when they try to score, and then maybe give them a lengthwise, how far or how close they can be to the goal area before they attempt a score. So maybe, outside the penalty area or a little further or whatever. Again, the rule is just to try not to blow out a team. No team likes to, you demotivate a team if you blow them out 9-0 or, 10-1. That doesn't do anybody any good. So as a coach, we ask that you try to keep a 5-goal differential and try to minimize how much they're blowing it out. And I think that's it for the volunteer point system. Anything you want to add, Jaime or Josh or anything?
The only thing, and by the way, I know a few of you have asked questions on it, and we'll definitely get to it towards the end. But I do want to say a couple things. I know it looks like a lot, and Carlos, by the way, worked really, really hard on this, and we've done this in the past. And I remember the first time doing it and presenting it. Again, I get it, and all that stuff looks like a lot, but once you really kind of boil it down, It's really not. Once the coaches started getting into the swing of doing things, it really ends up not being a big deal. I know the first season we did it, a lot of the coaches are concerned, but it's actually fairly simple to kind of get the points you need to get this done. The biggest thing that we want to stress a little bit more, and I think we're going to get to in a second, is the referee side of things. So a couple of things. Number one, if you it would be absolutely beneficial for you to take the referee class, which we're actually going to have next Saturday on the 14th, because again, that's where you're going to get a chance to learn the rules incredibly well. And believe it or not, as a coach, that is super important for you guys to understand the laws of the game, right? That's where I fell in love with refereeing. So please, please, please do everything you can to be a part of that. In some ways, more importantly though, it's really about the volunteer points. Don't feel like this is completely on you, because it's not. And I know Carlos had mentioned that. It really absolutely should be your parents. Hey, parents, as a coach, you're already putting in so much of your own time. Get them to help you out. Talk to the parents, get them to help you out with all of these various tasks, assign people. It really should boil down to the parents helping you out on that stuff. So that's kind of it from me. Josh, did you have anything else that you want to add on that?
I was pretty much going to say that. Yeah. So you looking at the slide, what does it say? Parent responsibilities, right? So this is where your communication with your parents is key, because you need to let your expectations known right up front. So make sure they understand that they're going to be asked to help. This can't just fall on you and your assistant coach if you have one. You have to have help from your parents. So yeah, Carlos spoke about all this stuff already. Go ahead, Jaime.
No, sorry. I was just going to say, and as another reminder, because some of the coaches are asking like, hey, what are the opening tasks? What are the closing tasks? Just as a heads up, everybody, and a reminder again, we're going to provide these slides, and Josh and Carlos do an amazing job week after week of sending these type of reminders as emails, like, hey, everybody, don't forget, you got to do X, Y, and Z, right? So there'll definitely be a lot of opportunities for you guys to get reminders on this stuff. So.
And if I can interrupt real quick, one quick thing, I don't know if I've mentioned it or not. The important thing is to, again, have a team meeting. Josh, I'm sorry, I don't know if you're going to cover that later, but it's very important that you have a team meeting, either at your practice or before your practice, at maybe towards the end of your practice, or you can even have one before your first practice. But just stress and let them know what the expectations of the season are. If for whatever reason you run into a roadblock where some people are not volunteering, not helping you out, feel free to reach out to me, to Josh, and we'll help you out with the parents. We'll talk to them, we'll figure out, let them know, look, it's very important that you help out your coach, and we'll help you. We'll help you find referees, we'll help you find people to participate and help. I know sometimes it takes a little push to how people help you out and stuff, whatever, but we'll figure out a way to make it happen for you. But the last thing we want is for you not to participate in the Commissioner's Cup. So I will keep you updated. I will keep you updated on a weekly basis where you're at and where you need to be at. And make sure that you make it to the Commissioner's Cup. Okay?
Last thing from me on this is, as of later tonight, it's not on the website quite yet. As of later tonight, there will be a volunteer points page that we're actually going to go ahead and house it on the main banner. So if you go to the main site, it'll be one of the main banners, and that way you and any parents will be able to click that banner and they'll see exactly what we had just talked about, but on the website itself. So heads up on that too.
Right. And also, just to touch on that a little bit more, we're having a parent Zoom meeting tomorrow, and all the parents that are in attendance of that meeting are going to get all of this information. So it shouldn't be a surprise when you say this stuff to the majority of your parents. They should be familiar with it, at least from that meeting.
So Josh, real quick, unfortunately, I know there's a lot of information. We only have technically 10 minutes. I wonder if we start kind of pushing it a little bit further.
Breezing through, no problem. Okay. So we spoke about referees already. So just stressing that a little bit more. So for 8U, we're introducing, well, not introducing, we've had youth referees for a while, but we're going to start giving them a bigger role. So if you have any older kids, whether they're players or not, they can certainly sign up to be youth referees. And we'll give you all the information you need on that if you need that information. We talked about the upcoming referee course. Youth referees are welcome. Youth referees do have to go through the same certification as adult referees. They go through the same training, the same course, the same online training, the same in-person training. So they have the same certification as the rest of us. it's great to see youths step up and take on that responsibility. That also does count for volunteer points. Like if they're high schoolers or volunteer hours, excuse me, the high schoolers and they need volunteer hours, this is a great way to earn those hours.
And by the way, Josh, I just unmuted Morrow. Morrow's in attendance too, so if he wants to kind of say a couple of words, he can. Hey, Morrow, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. So Morrow, yeah, feel free to kind of touch on the referee side. This is Morrow Guevara. He is our referee administrator. So feel free, Morrow.
I'm just going to be very brief. I think a lot of the software is being covered on the volunteer point system, and Josh and Carlos has stole my thunder. So it's so good. I like that, teamwork. Just real quick, thank you very much, everybody, for volunteering. Well, like you see at the beginning of the slide, we need volunteers for referees. We need somebody to officiate the match. We need somebody to be in charge of the match. We need to keep it safe, clean, and fair for the kids. And then, we need to give the kids a full experience. So once you get your roster, like I think Jaime already stated, start talking to your parents, right? You as a coach, do you have to ref? No. If you get that 3-man ref crew from your parents, you don't have to ref. But I encourage you as a parent, as a coach, to attend the course on the 14th, right? Remember, seats are limited. So I think upon completion of this presentation, you will see emails, you will see on the website, location, time, and everything for the referee course. This is the first time in a while that we actually running a live course, a full course. It'll be from 8 to 1 o'clock and 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock in the afternoon. It will be hosted by our sister region. I think it will be pretty good. So I will encourage you to get on the website and start signing up, and then and get a good feeling of the loss of the game. The 2021-2022 loss of the games just came out. You can go on the referee website and just take a look at the changes for the years. As far as refereeing, like Evie stated before, don't be afraid. Nobody's gonna judge you. Nobody's gonna question you. The more you get up there, just be confident. If you make a bad decision, oh well, right? We'll move on from it, and we'll learn. You'll have mentorship. We'll have a mentor assigned to you. Jerry Lee is actually put together an instruction to how we're gonna manage the mentorship program. Other than that, you see the website, you see my name on it, my phone number, I think is attached to it. If you have any questions, just call me anytime. Upon completion of your referee course, you'll be receiving a uniform too. With that said, if you're gonna become a referee and you're gonna referee on the game, I will encourage you to be in uniform. Uniformity is key. Presentation, how we present ourselves to the parents and to the kids is key. And I think everybody on the board encourages that for everybody. So other than that, if you have any questions, I think at the end of the presentations, I think that's all I have, Jaime.
Awesome. Thank you, Morrow.
Perfect. Thank you, Morrow. And then moving right along. So Kerry Lopez is our safety director. We'll go over some safety related stuff. You still on the? Perfect.
We're good?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Hi there, everyone. I'm going to be really brief here. The good news is that we don't have any COVID policies to go over for this coming season. Currently, as far as I know, the city of Murrieta has given us the green light that we don't have to have that plan in place. If that changes, we will let you know immediately. But first, we just want to make you aware of our rain policy and heat policy. AYSO, our region, will not be canceling for rain or heat. The only reason we would cancel for rain is if we're out on the fields and we see lightning and it's a dangerous situation. We would pause play and see if it's going to resolve quickly. But otherwise, we would continue to play through the rain. Now, the city of Murrieta closes fields anytime a few drops come down. So we most likely will not be playing in the rain. It's not going to be our decision. It will be because of the city of Murrieta. And as soon as we hear from them that they are closing fields, we will let you know immediately that, we can't be out on the fields, practices are called off, games are called off, whatever it is. We'll be putting it out on social media and through email. You'll get tons of notifications that you'll need to pass on to your parents, but that's not from us, that's through the city. So we're not going to cancel for rain. We're also not going to cancel for heat. If you were there in our spring season, our final day was extremely hot. I had 2 teams playing both games. My players were struggling with the heat. We provided them with extra water breaks. We monitor them closely to make sure that we're taking care of them, that shade is provided. I had ice packs on players on the sideline and really pushing fluids. And I always push fluids early in the week with my players, telling them to hydrate in advance of the games. I recommend you do that as we start a season that will be, the beginning will be hot. But we won't cancel because of the heat. We'll just add extra water breaks in to keep it safe for the players. We're not really going to cancel. We want to keep moving along through the season as much as possible. Again, practices can't start until we have the green light to use the fields. Anyone that is on the field participating has to be registered. So you just can't have younger siblings and stuff jumping in and participating in practices. It has to be registered volunteers and players that are on the fields during our AYSO activities. And under no circumstances should adults play in scrimmages, practices, or games. This was new to me, and I was just talking with Jaime about it at the end of this past season, but this includes coaches. Coaches are not supposed to be out there scrimmaging with their players. This is a safety issue regarding our insurance and stuff. So we know it can be a lot of fun to jump in and play, especially for the coaches that are players themselves, but we can't be out there with the players. It's a dangerous situation. Some of our coaches are much larger than some of our little players. It's not the way our insurance is written, it's not covered. So you can be out there demonstrating, you can be on the side in a role as a coach, but you are not to be playing a physical contact game with your players, scrimmaging with them. And then also just the way the insurance policies are written, the club linesmen, if we don't have ARs, we might ask parents to participate as just calling which direction the ball went out of bounds. That is a club linesman and they are not covered by insurance. So if they're asked to do that, we'll let them know that they're doing it at their own risk. And then you'll want to let your parents know that they are not allowed to bring their pets to the games. Again, it's just an insurance thing that this is really strictly enforced, that we cannot have dogs and pets. I don't know, what did we have, a goat or something?
I think we had a goat last season. Yeah, no goats, no goats.
They can't be on the sidelines. Obviously, service animals would be okay, but we can't have, the family pets on the sideline. And then that's really it. There's a safety part on the website you can check out. If you have any questions or concerns related to any of that, feel free to send them my direction. And also, if there are any soccer-related injuries, if there's collisions or anything on the field, anything that is requiring medical care or anything afterwards, there is soccer accident insurance for every player. That's part of what they pay for in their fees. And we'll also need to write incident reports for field related injuries and stuff. So you can direct all of those issues towards me and I can help make sure that those are resolved with the families if they want extra information on that insurance or incident reports or anything like that.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Coach Carey. There's only a few slides left. Bear with me real quick. So this is a image of what your game cards will look like. There's a great video on YouTube right here. It shows you how to fill them out. I'll just real quick touch on it. Every season we seem to have coaches that are super go-getters, and they already know what quarter each player is going to sit out. So they have all these areas filled out ahead of time. Please don't do that. The referees will do that through the match. These highlighted areas in blue are the only areas that you should have pre-filled out. Everything that's white should stay blank. And as Carlos said, on the back of our game cards, your sportsmanship points, this is where that happens. So the referee will score you and your team at the end of each match based on your sportsmanship and your behavior. Check out this video. It's super good information and easy to watch. So keep the following in mind. Your parent meeting is super critical. When you do it and where you do it is up to you. You definitely want to make sure you have all of your parents and players there, if at all possible. That way they all get the information. Team banners, reminder, picture day is August 21st. So if you're going to do a banner, make sure you have it before then. The game card that we just showed you, have it ready ahead of time, along with your game plan. Have your substitutions, your positioning for all your players, everything ready to go ahead of time. Always support the kids zone. And as far as reserving practice space and times, your day and times, you would send me an email. I've already gotten several emails from a lot of you. I will add them to the reservation calendar, which shows up on our coaches portal on the website. The reason we do this, it's a first come, first serve basis, is that we don't have 2 or 3 teams showing up at the same time trying to use the same field. So it is, for Warm Springs, it is a reservation only basis. If there is a conflict in scheduling, I'll let you know, and you'll have to adjust or work something out, or maybe pick a different field or something like that. We're usually able to accommodate most everyone with very little issues. So the other authorized fields are listed on our website, as I already showed you. And then let's not forget our fantastic sponsors and fundraisers, where we have EDIT fundraisers. Sometimes, Jaime, you want to chat on this a little bit?
Real fast. Our sponsorship coordinator, Taylor, she kind of helps us out with this. So again, we're a nonprofit organization. We always need some funds in order to kind of get new equipment and kind of help with maintenance. So from time to time, we might send out information saying, hey, Carl's Jr. is going to have an eat-in on a certain day from, like, let's say 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. And we would ask all our families to go to Carl's Jr. and make sure they eat there and let them know that it's for AYSO 1463. And 9 times out of 10, we will get a very small, percentage of that meal back to us, right? So we'll let you guys know when those happen. Those are incredibly important. So that way it helps our region kind of improve things and helps things out for the next few seasons. And then on this front, just as a heads up to you guys, so I've been throwing this out there on the emails too. If you guys or the parents want to get to some AYSO 1463 related merch or soccer balls or shirts or whatever, we have an official store on soccer.com. The link is basically on our website. It's also a little bit of a fundraiser as well, because for each one of these things, we get a very small percentage back. I believe it's about like 5% of a purchase. So the clothes are actually pretty awesome. And on top of that, we get a little bit back. So if you guys can spread the word, that'd be great as well.
Perfect.
And last but not least, we've been sharing this on the website all the time. We share information on our Facebook, on our Instagram all the time. Twitter, not as much. It doesn't seem like people follow us all that heavily on Twitter, but we try from time to time. But Facebook and Instagram, at least once or twice a week. If you guys follow us, you guys know we update that all the time. So please make sure, if you don't follow it yet, please follow it, because we send all of our latest information on there too.
Perfect. And so this is our contacts. A lot of us have spoken to you this evening. This is exactly what you'll see if you go to our website and look up board members. Another great picture of all of us. Reach out to any one of us. Try and direct your questions to the appropriate people, but if not, we'll still get your answers for you. And then that's it. So now we're in question time. So Jaime, were there any questions?
Yeah, there is a fair amount. So everybody, we apologize. We know there was a ton of info. It's 8:30 now. If you want to bear with us, completely cool. I would recommend you do. If you have to go for whatever reason, I mean, we kind of understand, but we'll try to, shotgun through these questions as quickly as possible. Josh, you ready to go? Want me to start kind of calling these out?
Shoot, let's go.
Okay, so let's do it. First up, will we find out our team? And Josh, by the way, I'll probably try to answer a bunch of these first, and if I have something, I'll let you know, okay?
Okay.
Will we find out our team colors before we need the name? Yes, you will get your team colors on Friday at the meet and greet. The team name is due the following Friday, so you'll definitely have the team colors 1 week before we need you guys to turn in the name. The name is once again due on the 13th, so heads up on that. Next up, when are we allowed to start having practices and how to reserve the field time? Josh kind of touched base on this. So for the olders, we would, like 14U and up, we would highly recommend you start as soon as Monday. right? So talk to Josh, make sure you guys are communicating with Josh on that. And then for the rest of you, as soon as the city gets back to me, I will let Josh know, and then he's going to spread, Josh and or Carlos will spread that information out to the rest of you, and we'll kind of get that going. The answer really is as soon as we possibly can, but it's all dependent on the Warm Springs field. Next up, during the coach training, I was left wondering if the coaches are responsible for the players' water. No, we are not. So you have to absolutely remind the players, you guys, parents, are responsible for players bringing in the water. A lot of times they tend to forget. And then sometimes they'll send the players over to our tents and ask for water. Keep in mind, guys, we do have water and we do have Gatorades and we do have a few little snacks here and there. Those are actually meant for our volunteers. So those are meant for you guys. So if you guys ever need water, the coaches, the referees, the VIP coordinators, anybody, feel free to come to our tents and we're going to hook you up with water. Now, when the kids come up, obviously, if there's a kid and they need some water, we're not going to turn them away and tell them to get out of here. We'll give them a water, but it's really important that the parents understand they need to make sure they need to bring water as much as possible. So just heads up on that. It's really on the parents. Let's see. So I'm a new coach. Sorry if it's a dumb question. How and when can we define the practice day and times? Josh, do you want to take this one?
Yeah, so it's up to you as a coach. That's one of the great benefits of being a coach is you get to pick your own practice days and times. You get to fit it around your schedule, and that's your choice. So as I spoke in one of the last slides, what you need to do is send me an email and say, hey, Josh, I would love to do, let's say, Mondays and Wednesdays from 5 to 6 or whatever your request is. And I'm saving all of those emails in a folder in request order. And then once I start adding each coach and their team to the practice reservation calendar, I will send you a confirmation email back to you and say, hey, you got what you wanted. I have you confirmed on these days, you're on the calendar. Right. So send those emails to me whenever you want. If you know what days and times you want, shoot me that email whenever you can.
The only quick negative, just as a heads up, maybe not negative, that might not be the right word, but unfortunately, a lot of all of our parks, including Warm Springs, do not have lights. So we would really have to fit it somewhere between Monday through Fridays, 4 and about 7 o'clock. Does that sound about right, Josh, to you?
Sounds about right. And keep in mind, the time change is going to happen in the middle of our season. So, that might throw some wrenches in the mix, but just be aware of that.
Perfect. I got another one for you, Josh, to answer. Is it true the goalie cannot punt?
That is not true. For 12U and up, they certainly can. I believe the rule we've been going with for 10U is they can drop kick it. So they can bounce it off the ground and still kick it, which is kind of like a punt. I don't know. We'll talk more on that.
But no, actually, Josh, yeah, what you just said is completely correct. So okay. 10U, they can drop kick in terms of, and it's kind of funny, but yeah, they can put on the ground and they can go ahead and kick. This was confirmed this last season. From 12U and up, they can go ahead and punt.
They can go and punt. And do keep in mind for 10U with the drop kicks that as soon as the goalie drops the ball, it's now a live ball and the other team can kind of charge in. So if he drops the ball and biffs the kick, it's a live ball now. So keep that in mind. As a coach, I guess work with your goalies and figure out something that works. Maybe rolling the ball or throwing the ball might be a better option.
Perfect. Next up, is there a Commissioner's Cup for 8U? Absolutely. So Commissioner's Cup is going to be for 8U, 10U divisions, and 12U divisions. So every one of them. Now, I'm sure maybe a couple of you, the coaches, well, why not 6U? Just a little bit too young, right? Like we're basically training, because the 8U is not going to have area playoffs, but we're training the 8U division to kind of understand what this sort of means. So that way, when they go to 10U, and if they were to win Commissioner's Cup, they can go to area playoffs. So 8U will absolutely have a Commissioner's Cup, but if they win, that does mean they're the champs, but that's where it ends. For everybody else, 10U and up, they end up going to area playoffs. So yes, 8U will have. Offside for 12U, will use the same build out line rule? No. 10U is the only division that has the build out line. And if you guys have any other questions, kind of like Josh was saying earlier, feel free to ping Josh, feel free to ping Carlos. We could definitely explain the build out line to you, and we'll kind of go from there. Let's see. As far as, I think this goes into volunteer points, how many points are needed to be a contender for the Commissioner's Cup? So Carlos, I know maybe you can talk about this again real quick, but so, and I saw this question a lot. Is there a certain amount, is like a threshold? Is there a certain amount of points? So really it boils down to like each one of those criteria that Carlos is kind of going into is what you got to almost check off in order to kind of to go into Commissioner's Cup. Carlos, you want to explain that a little bit better than I'm doing?
Yeah, actually, you explained it perfectly. So each required, I guess, like point is worth X amount of points. For example, a certified coach is worth 5 points. So there's not a total number of points for required points, except for the referee and tent duty. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to send each division coach specifically the requirements in a bullet point, so you'll be able to understand it. So you'll know exactly how many points per category you have to hit. The main thing is refereeing and tent duty points or miscellaneous points are the ones. The other ones you can easily hit. It's not a big deal. The other ones are ongoing as the season progresses. But if you do have questions on the volunteer point system, feel free to reach out to me. I'll send you my email contact information and my cell phone number. You can call me, email me, text me, or whatever, and I'll help you with it.
Perfect. Thank you, Carlos. And as a reminder, I am going to turn the website portion of the volunteer points on tonight. So that way, if you guys feel like checking it out tonight or tomorrow, feel free. I think on the site, it's going to be a little bit easier. And sometime in the near future, Carlos will provide quick little videos. So that way you kind of have a better sense of it, right? That's not available quite yet, but sometime in the near future. So that way you get a better sense. So another question. So we're selecting pin winners from the opposite team rather than our own, correct? So the way we were doing it last season, and this was a little bit more due to COVID, you were kind of selecting on your own team. What we were doing before is we want to make sure that the coach is kind of paying attention a little bit to the other side, the other team. We're having the coach look at the other team and saying, hey, you on the other team, you did a fantastic job. I'm going to reward you. So that way it feels a little bit more earned, right? If your own coach, and still, even if it's your own coach, it does for the child. I'm sure it feels like they've earned it and it's great. But in some ways, I think it's a little more special. We think it's a little more special if the other coach who really has no ties to you, they're the ones that are saying, wow, you did a great job. You have earned this pin. So yes, you will be looking at the other team to decide one winner from the other team. Let's see. Do 6U coaches give to the other team? Oh, just answered that a second ago. Same question again. Is Friday's meet and greet mandatory? I briefly kind of talked about that. So yes, I mean, please, coaches, absolutely do whatever you can to be out there, especially if you're 6U, 8U, 10U, 12U, please make sure to be out there. It's super important. But again, if there's no way you can make it for whatever reason, make sure when you communicate with your parents, please tell your parents, still go out there. Send your kids out there. The board members are going to be there. We can answer whatever questions they may have. So Michael, so just as a heads up to you, Carlos, he's basically saying he wants to confirm that he's coaching 6U. Michael, I would, just so we don't take up too much time, please contact Carlos with your question in terms of whether or not you're coaching 6U or 8U. You guys should talk about that directly offline so we don't kind of take this up. So Michael, definitely talk to or email Carlos on your question, okay? What are some team apps that are popular with the coaches? So just as a heads up, Band is a big one. Slack is a really, really big one nowadays with a lot of the coaches. I know one of our coaches, Ben, was using Slack. I use Slack for work all the time. We actually use Slack internally for our region. It's really, really well known and popular. So Band is another one. Josh, off the top of your head, what are some of the other ones that you're aware of?
Team Snap is a popular one. Dix actually has one. It's called Team Manager. And then Slack, yeah. Shutterfly has one.
Yep. So long story short, any one of these, as long as you're comfortable with it, whatever you decide is completely okay. Just make sure, obviously, get your parents involved and get them, interested in using it, because that's what you're going to really be using to kind of communicate with them, right? Another question, do you provide a goalie jersey? No, we do not. So AYSO does not provide a goalie jersey. You would more than likely end up using a penny, which I believe we are going to provide you at least a few pennies here and there, so you can provide that to a goalie or goalkeeper. But keep in mind, if you want to, you can go ahead and pick up a goalkeeper jersey from Dick's Sporting Goods and just kind of use that if you'd like. It's up to you. let's see, we'll be reserving practice fields, dates and times. We just briefly talked about, Josh talked about that at the very end. So if you have any questions or any needs, make sure to email Josh and give him all that information. Please speak to the COVID mitigation and what is being done to minimize group settings. So we absolutely, the last few seasons, and I could let, Carrie talk about this real briefly, but we were doing anything and everything to make sure we were wearing masks, we were doing temperature checks, we were doing as much as we possibly can to kind of mitigate that. The one thing that I kind of gave Carrie a heads up on is I've been in contact with the city every single week. And even up until this last week, I contacted them saying, is there anything on your end that you need us to do? And they came back to us as soon as like mid last week and said, no, as of right now, there's nothing that you need to do, right? But I know on our end, we are still going to make sure at the coach tents to make sure that we have sanitizers, so that way at any point, if anybody needs anything, they can go there. One thing we are kind of avoiding, we didn't talk about this at all, so I'll mention this right now, easy ups. So make sure you make a mention that easy ups will not be allowed on the fields. There's a couple reasons why, and I know it's a bummer. I know it's really hot in Temecula and Murrieta. But one thing that we want to avoid is once you have easy ups out on the field, a lot of people tend to congregate on those easy ups, and that's a problem. We want to still make sure that people are kind of spread out. Now, umbrellas are okay. Sports umbrellas are completely okay. And sports umbrellas are the ones that are a little bit larger and they're almost like these tent type structures. That's okay too. So keep those in mind. And we'll still be reminding people to kind of try to keep a little bit of a distance. But masks are not required. But if you or your children want to wear masks, even including games, that's completely okay. Carrie, was there anything else that you wanted to bring up in terms of this topic at all?
No, I think you covered it. The only thing I would say is just that we are prepared to, implement changes as needed, because if you've been with our region, we had a program in place for the highest tier that there was for the state of California that we worked through. So I imagine at this point moving forward, no matter what comes down the line, we're going to be able to change things, whether it's limiting the number of spectators or enforcing masks on the sidelines. We are already we've been through it in the last year or so. And so there's lots of steps that we can take as we receive guidance that we need to. So if anything changes, we'll let you know. But right now, that's not anything that we need to enforce.
Awesome. Sounds good. Thanks, Carrie. Let me keep going real quick. I don't think there's a tremendous amount more. I'm new to Murrieta and I don't have anyone to be an assistant coach. Can you help me find one? So, and I think this person actually did mention, so the first thing you're going to want to do is during your parent introduction email, mention that, hey, everybody, I am absolutely in need of an assistant coach. If anybody's out there who wants to step up, please do. Keep in mind, there actually are a few assistant coaches that have already signed up to be an assistant coach, and some of them have already done all their certs. So you may end up having one of those. So once you send out that email, somebody might get back to you on your team and say, you know what, I'm ready to go. If not, definitely talk to your parents during your meeting, during your email. Josh, is there anything else on that you wanted to kind of bring up real quick? Or Carlos?
Yeah, Carlos.
Go for it, Carlos.
Oh, just real quick on that, on the assistant coaches. So as soon as you secure an assistant coach, make sure you email me and let me know who they are so they can talk them through the steps, because they actually have to be completely certified just like you are. They have to go through the same training program and stuff, whatever. And then secondly on that, if for whatever reason you need some help with that, reach out to myself or Josh, and we'll help you talk to the parents so that they can help you be an assistant coach. Not you don't need to have one, but most likely it'd be better if you did have one. So yeah. Some coaches don't want to have an assistant coach, but
and by the way, wow, echo. Just on that front, and that's super important, valid point, Carlos. Thank you. But that actually kind of reminded me of something. So if you are a head coach and you don't have an assistant coach that's certified and or a team manager, because keep in mind, if you have a team manager that's helping you out, they also need to get their safe haven certificates, right? They may not need to get the coaching certificates, but they need to get safe haven, CDC, and cardiac arrest. If you don't have one of those, and for whatever reason, hey, AYSO, I can't make it to this game on Saturday, then all of a sudden your team is going to be without a coach. And yeah, let us know. And as board members, we will do our best to kind of step in and help out. But it's really imperative that you find a volunteer to be either your assistant or your team manager or both. If you want to get both, that's completely okay. So feel free. Next question, will you guys send those volunteer points rules for all the parents? Absolutely, Carlos, I'm sure we can send the documentation, but as a reminder, tonight, I'm gonna click the button and it's gonna be on our website. It's gonna be one of the main banners. So any one of you will see it and the parents will see it as well. So that'll be up there and live much later tonight. What's up, Carlos?
Yeah, and then each coach will receive today a copy of your specific division volunteer point requirement. So you should get in your email your sheet for your volunteer point requirements per division.
Perfect. Thank you, sir. Next up, point threshold. We already kind of briefly talked about that, so I think we're good to go on that. Can you let us know what is needed to set up and take down the field? So I know Josh went over that as well. And keep in mind, like I mentioned before, Josh and Carlos do a fantastic job of right before game day. Hey, everybody, here are the reminders before game day to remind your parents or remind yourself. So all that stuff will constantly be sent to you almost ad nauseum. We apologize for that, but we want to make sure that you guys are aware of stuff as much as possible, right? Can you show the playing field page again for 1 sec, please? We could. Maybe Josh, while we're answering questions, if you want to kind of show the playing field page real fast, I'll kind of go through the other questions.
Sure. Which one?
The field, the actual
like the home and away sign.
I think so.
Okay, let me pull it up real quick.
While you're doing that, the blowout rule. Can you switch a player to the opposing team? Your best player goes to the other team. Right now, no. Right now, it really should be some of the bullet points that Carlos went through in terms of like, hey, making sure you're asking your players. And by the way, heads up to the coaches, you're not going to want to let them know or shout out, hey guys, from now on, just pass. Hey guys, just use your dominant, because that kind of allows the other team to be like, oh, great. They're just letting us, talk to your players on the side when it's like a quarter break. Let them know, hey guys, let's switch it up a little bit. Make sure it's not so obvious to the other team so that the other team doesn't feel bad about the whole scenario, right? And yes, thank you. So that's the field. That's just field one for now. As a heads up, we're working on the fields. We're going to have several fields. And it's still TBA and we're working on it. So once we have all of the fields ready to go, we will update the website. Carlos and Josh will let you guys know what's going on there. But yeah, that's the plan there. Okay, let me keep going through these. Are pets allowed to come to practice? No, unfortunately, they're not. Pets are strictly, and this is not just us, this is all AYSO regions. This is an insurance thing. Pets are 1,000,000% not allowed on the field. If we see pets on the field, we will almost dart to you guys and basically say, sorry guys, we cannot have the pets on the field. If it's a situation where it's a service pet, that'll be fine, but please be aware and let your parents be aware that we will ask for some sort of documentation to make sure it's all good to go. Question, if the sibling is a registered player, can they help? Yes, the answer is yes. If they are registered, they can help. If the sibling is not registered and we see them out there, we will absolutely, that'll be another situation where we'll dart to you guys and basically just say, I'm sorry, coach, please, we cannot have an unregistered player out there, or an unregistered child out there. It is very much a major safety concern for us. So keep that in mind. This one is a little concerning to me. Unfortunately, it only says iPhone. It says, I'm really curious why I am on this meeting. I live in Northern California. So you're going to have a long commute, sir or ma'am, but I would highly suggest that you contact Carlos and Josh right away to find out what's going on there. That's scary. So we'll figure that out. Are there any advertising opportunities available for companies who don't donate? 1,000,000%. So if you want to send me, I'm the RC, go ahead and find me on the contact page, send me whatever information you got, and I can talk to you about some of those advertising opportunities. 1,000,000%. So feel free to get in contact with me. Match dates and times. So that's part of the schedule. So keep in mind, everybody, schedules are one of the last things that get done. We have so many things, whether it be coaches, teams, players, we have so many things we got to figure out that schedules kind of come online maybe 1 or 2 weeks before game day. So we're going to work on that and get that to you as soon as possible, but there's still a little bit more to do there. Let's see. Why are reservations for practice fields being made without all coaches being notified? That was mostly for some of the older division coaches that they have been with us for a long time, and we already know who those coaches are. So don't feel like we kind of started talking to some other coaches. Those are older division coaches, and we know exactly who they are, so we've already been talking to them. all the other coaches, you guys are going to be, including yourself, you'll be notified at the same time, just like you have been in this meeting. So you should be okay. Don't feel, bad, or don't feel like we haven't been in contact with you. Is that about right, Josh?
Yes, that's absolutely spot on.
Okay, perfect. Are we back to regular snacks for after the games, or are there COVID restrictions? No, for now. There are no COVID restrictions, so we can do regular snacks. That's not a problem. So if you want to have your team managers and do, snack schedules, and every parent, is responsible for a snack for team one, or week 1, week 2, week 3, feel free. There are no restrictions on that. Where can I find the list of fields on the site for practices? So there's 2 places you can find it. If you go to the coach portal, like Josh has shown a little bit earlier, go to the coach portal and it's going to be one of the boxes that shows fields. Or if you go on the main page, you're going to see a header that says about 1463. And on the drop down, it's going to say game practice fields. So yeah, Josh is showing you real quick. So you're actually on the coach portal now, or if you go to, or if you go to about, it's game and practice fields, which is right there. Yep. So there's 2 spots, so that way you can find the exact same page.
Or right here.
Exactly right. When will we get our roster? So as Josh had mentioned, it's either going to be late tonight, very late tonight, or sometime tomorrow. So it'll be sometime by tomorrow. And I know our registrar and also Christy, who is our assistant regional commissioner, is working on that as we speak. What are the dates for the season? So the very first game for a majority of you is going to be September 11th. And the very last game, I wish I would have written that down, but for a majority of you, for VIP and schoolyard, it's going to be October 30th. So the day right before Halloween. For the rest of you, it's going to be a week after, for week 9. I believe. And then we're going to have
November 6th. Yeah, November 6th.
Is November 6th Commissioner's Cup, Josh, or is it that final week?
The end of core season, and Commissioner's Cup is the 13th.
Got it. So for 6U, for example, that is going to be your final game, November 6th. And then Commissioner's Cup for all the teams that did their volunteer points, we're going to have that be your last celebration day. And that's going to be November 13th, you said?
Correct.
Perfect. And again, we will send this information to you. Last 2 questions, and then we will promise to let you go. Can you please clarify whether the latest practice start time, Josh? I would say for now, until time change, is probably what, 6:30, 7 o'clock?
I would say at the absolute latest, you want to be ending your practice no later than 7:30, and that's pushing it. Remember, there's no lights on the field. After practice is over, you still got to pick up all your stuff, and it gets dark very fast once the sun goes down.
And especially once the time change happens. Once that occurs and you have that time frame, we're going to have to work with you on maybe another field or something along those lines, because once the time change happens, it gets dark pretty early. So we're going to have to figure that out with you. I am an older division coach and was not notified about the practice field schedule. 16U boys, we'll work with you on that. We'll kind of have to get in touch base with you. Playoff dates go beyond 11/13. So we'll get in touch with you guys. Oh, well, yeah, playoff dates. So yeah, heads up. So for anybody, for example, 10U and up, like we had talked about before, there's Area 1R playoffs. So if you're a champion of a division, if you're the 10U boys, 10U girls champion, 12U boys, 12U girls champion, et cetera, and you end up being the winner of the Commissioner's Cup, there is going to be area playoffs either in late November or it's going to be sometime in December. So heads up on that. Those dates are still in flux a little bit. Area's working on that. So there are going to be dates, and we'll provide you that information soon. And that looks like that is it as far as the questions. I think that's it. Were there any last words, Josh? And time, Jason Jared says time changes on November 7th. So heads up on that. Any last words, Josh, that you kind of want to give everybody?
November 7th. That's right at the end of the season. So that doesn't sound like it'll affect too much. But do keep in mind that progressively each week, it will start getting darker a little bit earlier. So it looks like the time change is really going to be the last week. It'll affect us. I have nothing else except really thanks for coming out. If anyone has any questions they haven't shot out there, maybe raise your hand or put them in that chat box real quick. But other than that, wow, thank you guys for coming out. Really appreciate you taking the time.
And by the way, thank you big time for spending an extra half hour with us. We apologize that it took a little bit longer, but thank you so much for the extra half hour. All right, everybody. Yeah, thank you again. We'll be in touch. Have a fantastic night, coaches. Thank you.